Hey Tom.
Hey Noel, how's it going, man?
Good. How are you, bud?
Good. So, what do we have going on here today?
Today we are going to be doing a little final discussion of my self-assessment I did for Education 4P19.
Awesome.
Tom, why don't you introduce yourself as you're the interviewer?
Of
today?
course, yeah. How's it going, everybody? I'm Thomas Paul. I am also in concurrent education, also in my fourth year. I am in the Wednesday lecture for this class, and I just did my self-assessment part 2 last week. Submitted that, got that done, so it's fresh in my mind, and I'm excited here to talk to you about your goals and reflect on those.
Thanks for coming out, Tom.
Of course.
Kind of wanted to get my friend Tom in for a little casual conversation. I feel, what we have here, I don't really write a script. I have right in my hands my physical self-assessment copy with that. I went over some of the notes Professor Downs left me, but overall, I'm trying to do a little bit of a free-flowing conversation. I feel like a paper would be a little disingenuous for me. And I don't know, I think I could just get more of my emotions out in an unscripted environment.
Totally fair. I agree. All right, so you want to dive right into it and start with goal number 1?
Yeah, let's. I think how I'm going to do this, I'll just go through goal 1, cover it, goal 2, cover it, and then maybe add some stuff in if you see. But let's start with goal 1. Okay, on my paper, I wrote, and I quote, "Be vocal in my MCU group and take initiative in taking on a leadership position." The success criteria I laid out for this was to keep an active line of communication with group mates via text, prepare ample material for discussion. My measurement proposal and timeline, I feel like they could have been improved. It was more just a he said, she said kind of like, see how I'm doing. I kind of mentioned in my timeline, I can ask group mates for feedback throughout the project on how they feel. And I kind of want to do this goal because I feel like I'm a pretty vocal person, and I think with my background knowledge of the subject we were talking about, just to make it clear, our MCU is on ancient Greek history in 11th grade. I know a lot, so I think I could have, contributed a lot.
Of course. So you feel you facilitated some good collaboration amongst the group?
Yeah.
Both discussion groups and in your MCU as well?
I think so. We'll get into a bit of that in a sec.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, so I know you touched a little bit about what you feel you could have done better, but why don't you just kind of go on to how you feel you did?
I think I did great. Me and my teammates, we had a lot of chemistry. We were all in history. There was no dispute over the topic, which was, easy. We didn't have to fight over it.
Right.
But I think everybody kind of played a role, a leadership role. Like, it wasn't just me, which I liked. I don't like to be some tyrant, but I do like, leading. But yeah, I think I did great. In her little her marking of my self-assessment, the prof kind of laid out that I needed to tighten up how I would do this, and how I'd answer that is my leadership style was bringing in material to group mates, because obviously we're all history students, but I know a lot about the subject. So I think what I did was I'd bring in ample background research to our meetings every week, and kind of help steer group mates. I've taken, I think, like 3 courses on the topic, so I love ancient Greek history. But yeah, I think I think I did great in this. I got no complaints, and I kind of helped steer.
Okay. Do you have any clear-cut examples that you might want to touch on?
Let me think. I don't know. It's like general stuff, like for the outline. When we're talking about we each picked like 2 lessons. We did it in like week 9 or 10, and I looked at like what my group mates were doing as a topic. Like, I think I took like exploration and something else. I took exploration and architecture, and one of my group mates did war, for example. Christian, he didn't know very much about the subject, so I took what I knew from my obsession with this subject, and then I looked at, it was called the Lumen Learning. I looked at the curricula website. It was one of the links, I forget, and I looked at what they teach in grade 11. So I took what I knew, did a little more research, and kind of molded around the 11th grade curricula, and then I came in and I showed him these key concepts. Like, I talked about this battle that kind of changed the tides. I don't know, but yeah, that's just an example of me kind of taking what I knew and then preparing to help. if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you have anything else for me on that? Do you have any questions?
No, I thought that was a great example. I feel like you helped facilitate helped steer your peers in a way that I thought was very helpful.
Yeah.
And respectful as well. And I'm sure they appreciated that. So just kind of on the topic of course collaboration in general, how do you feel about course collaboration, like in this course or just as a whole?
Okay, so I really like the collaboration that we did here. You know, I've been in history classes, you know, for the last 4 years, and I haven't really done much group work. And obviously group work's an important thing. Sometimes like I like to do my own thing, obviously, when it's something I'm really passionate about. But I like that we kind of opened into the collaboration. I feel like honestly the last time I've met this many people in a class was like first year, when it was like Dr. McNamara's class, when we're all like
Right.
first year.
Oh,
Yeah, you remember.
Yeah,
I think we're all like giddy first years. But you know, I liked that there was an emphasis on collaboration, not just because it was fun, but like I think I don't know, Tom, you're more educated on teachers college preparation, but like I feel like there's going to be a lot more where this came from, you know, like
of course. I think 5th and 6th year will show a lot of collaboration and group work, and how that will also play out in our future careers as teachers, working with each other to best fit students' needs.
Yeah, like I would say that, like I think the best thing with this goal, I don't want to go off too track.
Yeah,
we got time. But yeah, I think this course is kind of doing good to prepare us. And I guess I'll talk more about that and with other things, but that's the kind of point of this course, is to prepare us for the wilder world. But that's what I'll say about that, really. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Do you want to touch on anything else on goal number 1, or would you like to?
I don't know. I think I basically covered everything I knew. Overall, you know, I could have laid out the actual sheet. You know, I might have rushed it a bit in the moment, but
Of course.
I think I did what I wanted to do. I'm happy with how I think I have a rubric attached. I think I gave myself like a 4. Yeah, no issues with this one.
Nice. Okay, let's move on to goal number 2 then.
Okay, let's see. Okay, goal number 2. This was, you know, my most basic one. It was and I quote, complete the readings prior to the weekend. Okay, so I'll say my explanation for this. So I often skip readings for courses that do not relate to my teachable. The readings for this course are deeply linked with our assessments, and I feel it would be right to begin reading even if I'm not fully interested in the subject matter, like I am with like history. The success criteria I set out, it was a little more straightforward than my last one. Stay focused and not begin other tasks. Don't skip parts. I think for this, I'll get to my actual performance in the goal, but I think the best thing I did with this was actually making a decent time, like tracking method. I said I have 3 days during the week to complete a fairly short amount of readings. You know, I gotta thank you again. It wasn't that rough as the history, 180 pages a week such thing. But sorry, where was I? I was basically saying I should get these done by Saturday. That's what I wrote down here. I should get these done by Saturday. And I thought, you know, I still think that's a pretty reasonable thing. But yeah, that's kind of what I set out. So I think even though I didn't know the SMART goals, I think I kind of set myself up with a good tracking method.
Right. Okay. So overall, with this goal, how do you feel?
So that was it's definitely my worst. I think I could have done better. I usually got the readings done, or in parts. You know, I got the bulk of them done, but not by the Saturday deadline I set. You know, obviously we're young. You know, the weekend. You know, you're my roommate. You know,
yeah.
You know how I operate, but you know, I'd get it done. Sometimes even I felt like, you know, Tuesdays, but I'd get them done. I'll be honest, I skimmed a lot of the readings. You know, sometimes this stuff was like, you know, it was closely linked to what we learned in class. Like at least most of it.
Of
course,
of course.
It was a review.
There was thorough connection.
You know, and that's not because I wasn't interested though. It was just because I had a lot of other things to read. You know, 4th year history courses, I don't know if you know, but like there's no more lectures, which I hate. I love learning from a person who knows. It's all self-taught, you know, 3 papers, 4 papers a week. just horrible. Sorry, not horrible. I just don't like it. I hate it.
That's fair.
It's just pure reading, and so I kind of would, I kind of had to put my time to that. But yeah, I could have been doing better in that regard. But I usually got the stuff done when it had to be done. Yeah.
Okay. So you feel the goal itself was structured well, and you could have held yourself a little bit better to these standards, and you almost think that due to the fact that the courses are a little bit more self-taught oriented, that it kind of leads you to maybe fall out of line a little bit.
I'll be honest.
Regarding
Yeah, like
a calendar or a structure.
I just kind of fell out with this because we learned a lot of the stuff in lecture, and the other classes we did not learn the stuff in lecture, and I can't there's no way of me, kind of winging it in something like that where
Right.
I haven't been taught anything anyway. But you know what? I'll say this. I'll next semester I think going forward I'm gonna definitely, try to read more. I don't know.
Right. No, that's fair. It's important to look at the future, is that you can rectify what you feel your struggles may be.
I have
in
more
the self-taught
I have a
area.
more relaxed course load. I had 3 history 4th year classes this year, but anyway, that's all I gotta say for that.
Okay. So what concepts from reading stood out to you? We talked about the readings quite a bit, and obviously the goal was based around the reading. So, what readings actually stood out to you?
Well, let me think. By the weeks, there's KDB stuff. I backward. I remember in lecture, professor was talking about, I think it was 50% of students will have some sort of IEP
Right.
or something. So I really liked how we talked about modifications for students. I think the reading was it was growing for success. I don't know. It was a separate document. It was linked in the
In the
break
speaker
space.
notes.
Yeah, I don't know. But I like kind of learning about that, because I feel like a theme for these Chiz education courses is I kind of block out stuff that, even though it's important, I don't view important, but I think that's something that is directly going to apply to me. So I don't know. I like learning about how to accommodate students and so on. But yeah, I don't know. Nothing.
Of course,
much
that'll
on
be
that.
a very big challenge of
Yeah.
ours. All right. Well, if that's all you got for goal number 2, we can move right on to goal number 3 if you want to state that out.
Oh yeah, 12 minutes. Okay. Sorry for this might be a little long, but
That's it.
it might be, for the listeners, it might be better than a mindless paper. I don't know. You might hate this, might love this, but okay, goal 3, and I quote, was take more detailed notes, not just what's on the slides. Okay. My explanation for this was the slides provide good info, but often miss important bits of info transmitted through video or chalkboard. Or I didn't add this, or the prof, obviously. The success criteria laid out was actively listen in lesson, no mindless copying. And measurement proposal, again, it was kind of basic like my first one. Don't write what's on the slides. That's a fail. Compare posted notes to my own. With that, the prof said kind of with the first one, set a more clear, streamlined criteria. I wrote down kind of what she said. Where is it? Here it is. She Professor Downs said, try to write down notes that compare to other classes and such. But okay, again, well, I'll get to how this whole goal actually went. But yeah, that's what I wrote down for that. I kind of just wanted to take more useful notes than just mindless copying, which is something I do frequently for
Of course,
classes.
that's quite important. So you touched a bit on that, but overall, how do you think looking back now, how do you think that went?
Yeah, so this was the black sheep of the goals.
Okay.
I didn't do so. I think by week 4 or 5, I just stopped taking notes entirely. I began to ease into the class. I kind of got the rhythm. I saw that she posted lecture notes, and this is not being lazy, but I just found that I liked how engaging the prof was, and a lot of classes I take notes purely for exam purposes.
Of course.
You take done that before.
Everybody does that. As soon as the professor mentions that this won't be on the exam, everybody's ears go the other way. It's kind of it's in our blood as a student. But I agree. I feel it was shifted in this environment of the classroom.
You were telling me about how you thought it was a good layout too.
Yeah,
So, but
I would often close my laptop. I know
Yeah.
you mentioned doing the same thing. It was just
but yeah, I basically found it better to, because there was no exam. It was a chill environment. Prof was cool. She'd reach out. She'd be like, "Yo, what are you doing?" She'd talk to us.
yeah.
But yeah, I just found myself closing my laptop. I think this was very beneficial for me, like actually taking these concepts, because it's not like testable, but this is important for the future. Tom, like
Of course,
for
even Professor Downs, right? She would take anecdotal notes on
Yeah, she
on
did
us
for
as
sure.
students. So how do you feel maybe this might, I don't know, transfer into your future ideas as a teacher, and how you'll teach, like how you'll need to take anecdotal notes as a teacher, right? We that is something we learned in this class. So if you feel you're struggling taking notes here, how do you feel you can make that positive change?
No, yeah, like I don't know. I think as a teacher, I'm obviously going to want to be more observant, and I'm not just going to look at a kid and write stuff down. I think that would stress him out too.
Well, of course,
But
yeah,
I'm going to try to remember stuff, and obviously, I don't think the note taking, like I still took notes on like important stuff, details, like things that stood out to me. But I'm not going to mindlessly copy every detail in. I want more genuine.
Of course.
I want to actually learn. I don't want to just look back and be like,
regurgitate.
what the hell was I talking about? Like I know in my thing it said like actually no mindless copying, but I'm gonna end up mindless copying. Like that's just how it is. Things get rushed, and I don't know. Like I said, closing the computer, it took, locked me in. Sorry for the lingo. It locked me in, and it kind of got I was actually paying attention and taking stuff in. So yeah, like as a teacher, that also I guess with the notes too, I like that you posted the notes, because like again, it's not for exams, but it was good to kind of go back and read them. I don't know, a lot of teachers, like some classes it's like 50-50.
Right.
So as like you asked earlier, you're like how this applies to teacher. I'm gonna post notes, because I think like kid goes to the bathroom, he misses like a key concept that's on the test, it's stupid. So
Right.
I want my students to listen and not copy. If you get what I'm saying, I think you're kind of the same.
I completely agree with
pedagogy.
you. Yeah, we have same philosophy and outlook. Right on.
Yeah.
So there's goal number 3. We went through all 3 goals.
Yeah, I think that was pretty thorough.
Do you want to touch on anything else? Like, do you want to jump back to goal 1 and 2 maybe? Or I feel we covered things in great detail.
Again, I don't want to keep up whoever's marking this.
I guess we are
time.
at 18
we're like
minutes now.
18 minutes, but I think I like that my goals were pretty diverse. I like that we touched on collaboration a lot, and we talked about like its usefulness. Again, this course in general I think was great for kind of preparing us for like our future endeavors. A lot of, again, I'm blunt, but I'm being honest. A lot of the courses I've taken are questionable for myself, like Sigmund Freud, and
you're right.
I don't.
There's been a big transfer from the Chiz classes to the education classes, and that shows, which is positive as we head into years 5 and 6.
Obviously, all of this is important, and that the profs know better than I. But sometimes I get bored. But I genuinely think there's like things I took away. Like I liked when the prof kind of like get down and talk about like. And like the last lesson, you're talking about like principal bias, and like how there's principals that are people pleasers and principals that got your back. So it's like, it's good to get these actual like genuine snippets of what like teacher life is going to be.
Yeah, the realities of a teacher.
Like she would kind of.
Yeah, or even through. I know it was very it was a comedic approach, but through the Mr. D clips, even that she would play those, and then she would get into something like the parent teacher. Not conflict, but I guess it is conflict, but how to approach a relationship between a teacher and a student, and the parent, and just little things like that. I did like the almost blunt approach she took as well. The straight to it, don't beat around the bush. Here's how it's going to be, and this is what you need to know in order to succeed in those environments.
Yeah, that's basically summarized what I was going to say.
Sorry,
No, it's good. That's basically, I agree. I like bluntness and that. So whatever. I had a rubric. I'll be attaching a rubric. Well, I think I would give myself an 80 to an 85 in this course. I could have done better readings, but I did what mattered, helped the group. I also did pretty good on the front matter. I'll
There
take
you
it. I
go,
got
I'll
like an
give you
80.
that.
I got like an 80 something on that.
Good
So,
for you. Yeah.
but yeah, thank you for coming, Tom.
Of course, man. Anytime.
And thank you for listening, whoever's marking this, or whoever's not about marking, but yeah. Anyway, thank you.
All right.